Live.
Morning, thank you, it's a pleasure.
Before we talk further, let's establish what is parole? What is it actually meant to achieve?
Parole, by definition, is the early release of an offender from prison subject to the successful fulfillment of certain conditions. It's regulated by statute, and after a certain period of time, again regulated by statute, an offender becomes eligible for release.
Yeah. Now, what happens to an offender that violates conditions of parole?
There are a number of things, and it depends on the nature of the violation. What the legislation requires after a violation is an investigation, and pending the outcome of that investigation, the rearrest and re-incarceration of that offender.
Now, I mean, in the case of the Waterkloof offenders, I mean, these young men wouldn't have gone out to get liquor. And let's go back to this video clip. Are they liable for their conduct and what actually happened?
They certainly are, to a certain extent, yes. They are quite obviously in possession of contraband material. Of course, it's subject to investigation whether there was alcohol involved, but certainly we know that there is a recording device. All recording devices are contraband items in prison. So yes, certainly there was a certain amount of fault on their part, but it obviously implicates correctional officials and the department to a certain extent, given that it would have had to have been smuggled in.
Yeah, that's the reality. I mean, I think what this shows is what's actually happening within the prisons, and to actually get access to alcohol, cell phones, all of these things. I mean, this is not allowed in our prisons in South Africa.
No, and unfortunately, it's with the use of these contraband items that we pick up these kinds of incidences. We know that prisons are notoriously covert institutions, and so it's very difficult to record in any kind of official way the degree to which corruption occurs, or corruption events, corruption type activities occur in prison, etc. Yes, so yeah. You're certainly right on that score.
Yeah, just taking this instance into consideration now, does this put a huge question mark on the parole of these two Waterkloof four?
Leanne, it certainly could. Like I said, you know, the legislation requires that there be an investigation into the alleged violation. Of course, it remains to be seen whether something that happened during the incarceration and thus before they were actually paroled will have an effect, would amount to the breaching of one of those conditions. I'm not sure that the legislation has taken into account the retrospective effect of an action. Or whether an action like that could have a retrospective effect in one's parole consideration. Yeah. So it's something that the parole board and the investigation team assigned to this matter would have to deal with. I
mean, I know that it's difficult to ask you because obviously the case is still being investigated. They've got to be in for 72 hours while this investigation takes place. And obviously the picture is a lot bigger than just what the two of them did on this video. It's just showing security and corruption and everything that's happening within inside the prison. But you know, I read headlines yesterday saying that they could finish their term in prison and it could actually be extended. I mean, is this a possibility for them?
The extension of a prison term, no, that's simply not a possibility. The re-incarceration certainly is a possibility, yes, without a doubt. The statute makes that quite clear. They would then obviously become eligible for parole at a later stage of their incarceration. So whether or not they would then serve the full term, which I believe was a sentence of 12 years, would remain to be seen.
All right, thanks for giving us some clarity. Clare Ballard, Community Law Centre at the University of the Western Cape, talking to us about the Waterkloof 2 that were rearrested after that YouTube video came out showing them drinking and filming themselves in their prison cell the night before they were released on parole. All right, let's take a break. We'll see you after this.